Hi, welcome back. So today we are going to understand what is Apigee networking options. What are the networking options which we have? Okay, so we have basically two types of networking options, or you can say peering options with the Apigee organization or Apigee tenant project, right? So we have two networking peering options. One is non-VPC peering and other is VPC peering. Okay, so let's I will not, you can read all this. I will directly jump on this image which I have here. So from this image, we will try to understand all these paths. Okay, so first try to understand what is northbound and what is southbound. So it's basically from your GCP, the if the request is going to Apigee X, let's suppose if calling a proxy, then it's a northbound. Okay, the northbound can be anything, right? Let's suppose if you're calling via over a VPC peering or either a non VPC peering. Okay, if your direction is from your GCP project to Apigee X tenant project, then it's called northbound. Okay, and opposite of this, if let's suppose you have something, some VM or some GK or any microservice deployed on your GCP project, then the request coming from your Apigee X to the your microservices which is deployed on your VPC. Either it can be anything, it can be VM, or it can be a GK, anything, right? So basically the call which is going from your GCP project to a PGX, it's called northbound, and the request going from a PGX to your GCP is called southbound. Now we have these two options, VPC peering and non-VPC peering. To understand this setup, right? So if we have VPC peering, right? In my last video, which I am yet to upload, I have I have gone through all this, like how we can create the VPC pairing. So if you come here in this page and if you turn this, if you just click on this with VPC pairing, so here it's everything is visible, everything is available, like how you can create a VPC peering network with your Apigee X tenant project. Okay, so while provisioning you have to do that whenever you are provisioning, right? So you have to define this one, like VPC peering, your range and your project ID. So you have to define your network name. Network name is your VPC name, and you have to define all these sort of things. Okay, so I will go back to, you can refer my old video for this. For now I will tell you about what is this things. Okay, so let's suppose for now, yeah, one more thing. So we can have a hybrid setup as well. Hybrid setup, not hybrid apgx. In terms of networking, okay, so we can have VPC peering, we can have non VPC peering, we can use both. Means we can go via this PSC NEG and we can use the service attachment and call Apigee X, or we can use this MIG one. And from this, so for now I have only one GCP project, I don't have two GCP project, and I have already set up everything, like all this northbound and southbound in single GCP project, and I have one Apigee X project provisioned already. Okay, so what this VPC peering means, it's something like that you are creating a bridge, a private bridge between your GCP project and your Apigee X tenant project. It's basically something like, let's suppose you have four subnets and you have defined one subnet, given one subnet for this or doing bridging. Okay, and that subnet is just work as a bridge here. But for this one here, we don't have any bridge. We are not assigning any subnet for doing this BPC peering. Okay, now since we have this BPC peering, okay, what we can do, uh, we have these two options with the BPC peering. One is creating an LB. Okay, LB, which maybe you have open a firewall for the internal external user to connect with your load balancer. Okay, so you are handling the firewall at this level or maybe at the BPC level as well. Okay, now when your request come to your external gateway, you are forwarding that request to your MIG. So what is MIG? MIG is basically a group of virtual machines, okay, group of similar kind of virtual machines, okay, and that can have envoy proxy, okay, and from that we are calling this service attachment. Okay, so we are not using here, if you see, we are not using service attachment, okay, we will use L4ILB. It is called internal load balancer for Apigee X tenant project. Okay, so we can get this. I will tell you how we can get this LB details and whatever. So yeah, so this is the first path where from it will the request come to your external and it's call goes to MIG, and from MIG you will call ILB. Okay, and this is the one which is for internal user. So for internal user we can assume like let's understand we have a virtual machines installed here, and from there we can directly trying to call this L for ILB, okay, which is internal load balancer, and that redirects you to the Apigee proxy. Okay, so these are the two options of Northbound which we have available here with the VPC peering, okay, which don't use service attachment. Okay, now coming to this non VPC peerings Northbound options. So in the no VPC peering we also have the similar kind of setup, but not using ILB. Instead it will use service attachments. Now from, let's suppose you have an end user, it calls the your XLB external load balancer, and here if you see it was redirecting to MIG, but here it will redirect to NEG. NEG is network endpoint group, okay, and PSC we refer to private service connect, and from this NEG will redirect you to the service attachment, okay, basically the ILB. Okay, so it will redirect you to service attachment, and from this service attachment it will forward your request to the Apigee X, okay, basically your proxies. Okay, so these are the options which we have for the external user, but for the internal user we can create a direct service endpoint, and your service endpoint can talk to the service attachment, and this will forward your request to your Apigee X. Okay, so these are the setup which we have for the Northbound. Okay, so now we will go and understand how to set up. So setup, I have one documentation which I will share with you guys later, and we can see for now we will test and see in the GCP how all this networking looks like. Okay, so first I'm trying to cover the Northbound. Later on I will cover the southbound options which we have here, right, from the PGX to private target, from a PGX to, so a PGX to private target, which is VPC peering on, and this one via endpoint attachment without VPC peering. Yeah, so from here we will also see this one from Apigee X using CloudNet. It will go to the public target. So Apigee X, when we create this Apigee X tenant project, it already have a NAT gateway for the internet. You have to make sure that there is no firewall, and whenever you use in a proxy, you use any internet target endpoint, it will allow you to go to the internet. But because in our organization, or if you are creating any organization, so you don't want a dynamic set of uh, NAT gateway endpoints, right? You need a static NAT gateway endpoint, so that your customer want to whitelist your IP, your NAT gateway IP, they can do it, right? So you need a basically a static IP. So we will see all that as well. Now going to the first this one. Okay, so end user, XLB, MIG, and L4 ILB. Okay, so first we have this XLB. So let's search for load balancer. Okay, okay, so if you see here this one, a PG MIG ELB map, right? So this is the external load balancer. I have named it this one. Okay, so if we see this backend, so here I have a PG MIG. Okay, and the front end, if you see, so I have this forward rule. Okay, So the backend is this one where I have a PG MIG, and if I open this Apigee MIG, so and this is backend is a PG MIG NB. Okay, so if I click on this one, yeah, so it redirect me to the this instance group, which is MIG, right? Instance group, and this MIG is having two VM at the moment, which is handling the traffic. Okay, uh, we can configure this as well. We can configure auto scaling here as well while creating this instance group. We can we can configure the auto scaling and everything. We can define the what type of machines we need, right? What So for that we have to create an instance template. So I have that documented in my document. So first, right now you can see here, right? I have a instance group. I have a load balancer, and load balancer, this Apigee make load balancer is calling to this uh, this instance group. Okay, so this is the first set of networking, but now we want to try, right, if this is setup is working or not. Okay, so to test this setup, right, one thing to take care. So you may think, right, like how, sorry, you may think like how the from MIG to from MIG to LB, how it is, how this call is getting triggered here, right? What we have, so we have invoice here which is forwarding the request to L4ILB. Okay, so we how we got this L4ILB IP, I will quickly show you. So these are the setup, right? Our B our VPC peering for external user using MIG. Okay, so here if you see, we have to first create a template, okay, for our VMs. And if you see here this Apigee endpoint, right? So I have already defined the Apigee endpoint, this one 3.10.3.1.266, and you'll see from where is it coming, right? So if I go back to the this one, and let me just duplicate it, and I will search for Apigee. Okay, so if we come scroll down and click on this instance says, you see this IP. So this IP is ILB, and this is the one service attachment. Okay, so you can see it from instance here, or you can curl it. I have the curls in this document, so you can use that curls and get these details, but from the UI you can quickly get it from here using this as a PG endpoint. Okay, so this is the endpoint of this ILP. Okay, basically your instance in the Apigee X tenant project. Now since we have this now, okay, and if you try to understand this one, I'm using this Apigee endpoint to define my path. Okay, this is the script which is already provided by the Apigee X documentation. We are using the same thing. Okay, so we just have this Apigee endpoint with us. Now to test these things, right, so we have to test like if this is working or not. So we'll go back to load balancer, and I have deployed one proxy. So whenever you create your provision your first PGX, you will have this proxy always. Okay. So for testing purpose, you can use this. For setting up networking or anything, you can use this. I will show you example of this Google Jocks proxy which I have created, and this is, let's try to find out the endpoint first, base endpoint. So if you see, this is the base point of this one, Google Jocks proxy. Okay, and now we will try to call this one using this external load balancer. uh, okay, so just try to get the, okay, so this is the IP of this load balancer, basically for the external load balancer, right? So it will forward your request to the Apigee X. So this is the one, this was the one which was there. Okay, and yeah, one thing to make sure that uh, we have to set up this host name and everything, and that is properly mentioned in this document, and that I will cover later. So when you click send here, you will see we get a response back, right? So this means this ILB setting of everything is working properly now. So this is we are testing because this is we are able to do because we have VPC peering turn on, and we are calling this ILB endpoint. Okay, which basically the host, the one which I have shown you, right? Now I also want to test from my internal user, not from the external, because my postman is, the request is going from the internet, right? But from the internal user, I don't want to use this meg. I just directly want to call this proxy, right? So to call this, what we can do, let's try. So we have to use a VM as our internal user. So I'm going to use this, and I have to do SSH. Okay. So yeah, first let's go here. So I have covered this, the second one here, and this is the first one. So this is the thing, this is the curl which we are going to run. So if you see here, we have this 10.3.1.226, which is ILB of Apigee X tenant, and this is the endpoint of my proxy. And one thing to make sure that if you don't use this one, if you don't use any DNS, it will not be able to resolve. So by default, whenever you create your PGX tenant, this is your project name, and this will be your next items, right? So you have to use this one, this as complete as a host, right? And this will is prefix as your project number or project name, you can say, right? Just make sure what you have, because I have same project ID and same project name, so I have this one. Okay, so let's try. Okay, uh, this looks like something went wrong. Right. Okay, so let's test this. uh we have to test this one. See, paste. Okay, and let's hit enter. Oh, it's 404. Okay, let's debug this one. uh what's wrong? Okay, seems to be wrong. Okay, so it's basically because I have copied it from this document. So just try to make sure you fix this. Okay, so as soon as you fix this, you see you will get a result, right? So this is working. So we have proved that there are two. ways from the VPC peering is working properly, right? So we have already seen this one from XLB in external load balancer calls make and makes redirect to L for ILB, and from internal user it goes to ILB. So we have seen this two setting already. Now we want to see this one, which is from end user, which calls XLB and it goes to PSC NEG, and then service attachments. So this is a quite uh, items, quite uh, commands which you have to run or you have to set up via UI. Service attachment we already seen, right, in the instance. So let's try to understand how to set up this one. So let's navigate. Let's go back to the load balancer. Okay. So here I have set this Apigee ELB map, which is a load balancer, right? And this, if you see, there is its PSC NB neg, right? So in this one, it is PSC NB neg. So let's see what is in this PSC NB neg. Okay, so this is network endpoints group, and this network endpoint group which we have is having this service attachment, and this is same as which we have here in instance right, this one. So this is the same one which we have here, right? So this is the simple setup. I it's you have to set up via some, you have to use your some commands which is in the this document. So this one, non PPC peering for internal user, also sorry, not this one, non BPC peering for external user using PSC NEC, right? So you have to do this setup first, and I have already shown you how you can navigate it through this one. You can see this Apigee GM CRT, right? So you have to uh, you have to make sure that you, whenever you are doing this, creating this certificate, you have to provide this as your host name, 13669155480 dot ss l dot sslip dot iu, right? So you have to define properly, and that is all covered in that document. Now, so we have also seen, right, how I am not going too much deep there, and I just navigate. Now I will try to show you this one, right, from internal user. Again I will use this the VM. Okay, and now this is service point. So what is service point, and where we can see this service point and how it is pointing to this service attachment. Okay, so for this service endpoint, for creating this service endpoint, right, uh, I have also already attached the Apigee X documentation, but let's go via. So we have to go to uh, PSC, private service connect, private service connect, and yeah, yeah, this one. So this is the IP address, which is a reserved IP address for this endpoint. So this service endpoints, if you see, it's also calls to this one, the same service attachments. So basically this service endpoint attached with using this service attachment, right? So this is what we can see this one from the UI, and this have the IP address 10.2.0.5, right? So this is the static IP of our machine, right? Our VPC, not the PGX, right? So we can directly call this one and it should redirect us to this PGX, right? Via 10.2.0.5 here. It should redirect you to the PGX proxy, right? So let's try that. So let's go to VM. Let's use the same machine, SSH. Okay, now uh, this one, right? We are using this 10.3.2.6. So now we can try this one, 10.2.0.5 and enter, right? So if you see, it is also working. We are not calling the LB, we are just use calling the 10.2.5, which is the our VPC endpoint. And because this endpoint is connected with the service attachment, it is forwarding our request, right? And it is forwarding without VPC peering. Okay, and the other one which I have already shown to you, and that one also without VPC peering. Okay, so these are the total northbounds which is present, right? uh, for this cloud net, right? Now I have covered most of the northbound, and you will get all the details from this documentations. And I am also going to cover this southbound now. So the southbounds is, we have pretty simple, right? So we have three southbounds in this image, right? The one which is from your Apigee X to your private target, and your Apigee X to the service attachment, and from Apigee X to CloudNet, right? So I will cover all these three. So under this BPC peering, right? So let's suppose you have a GCP project and you have turned on the BPC peering, right? So you don't need to set up this endpoint attachment, service attachment. You can directly uh, put the host of this internal machine, which is from your BPC peer GCP project, and you will be able to hit it. So let's take an example. Okay, so for this one I have already created a simple subnet. uh, okay, so okay, so I think I already have in this Mumbai virtual machine, I have Apache running. Okay, sorry, not Apache, it's Nginx. So it's Nginx is already running, right? So we can use this one. Okay, how to run this Nginx, all the details you will get in the document, right? Step by step basically. So for now, what we are interested in, that is Apigee X is directly able to call this BPC uh, endpoint or not, right? Which is peered. So let's take this instance IP. So the instance IP is 10.2.0.7, right? Uh, the thing is that I have already created the proxy. So internal Nginx test, this one. So if you go to the target, you see I'm using 10.2.0.7, the same one, and directly, right? So what is the endpoint of this one? So this endpoint of this one is internal Nginx test, right? So let's open the postman. uh, this one. Okay, so this is our XLB, right? For the MIG, and when I do send, I will get this response, right? This means this that is working, that is working well. So we have seen this one right now, right? From the Apigee X to the private target. Now I'm interested, like we are interested in seeing this one as well, right? How PSC endpoint attachment and how this service attachment and where we can find these things, right? So you have to, if you want to find this PSC endpoint attachment, so you can see, right? This is under the Apigee X tenant project. So you can easily go to the Apigee X and try finding the endpoint attachment. So this is the endpoint attachment, and here you can see that this is the uh, attachment which we have, right? And this endpoint attachment connect with this service attachment, and this service attachment is target is one uh, load balancer. So if you see here, it's this image is not too much saying like what else we need to have here, right? So basically the service endpoint attachment not directly connect with the service attachment. We can see it here. We can see it here in this endpoint group that this is service attachment, so this is attached with the service, but you should have an LB. You should have an LB, and that LB, that service connects with that LB, and from that LB you will able to connect with this private target. You can't directly use this private target, so you should have a service, and this service have an LB here. Okay, and this LB can point to this one. Okay, so this other setting, you can't directly service attachment directly can't connect with this any VM. You should have some LB here, right? So there is an LB which I have already created. Okay, so these are the setting which we have just seen. This Okay, so this are the setting. We have this target and this target, and you may be thinking, what is this unmig, right? Unmig is mig, right? Manage instance group, right? And this unmig means unmanaged instance group. So in mig, what happens that you have a similar kind of virtual machine, but in this one you can have a single one. You can have a different types of things, and you can define your ports and protocol to redirect the your calls basically coming from any outside the world or from the Apigee X, right? So from that setup you can do in this unmanaged instance group. So for now, if you see, there is internal Mumbai IG, right? Instance group. So this instance group is only having the one machine which I have, right, which is my Mumbai machine where I have already Nginx running, right, the same one, 200.216.319, right, the same one. So for this, to see this one, right, we also have to set up a proxy, right? So I have already set up a proxy for you. So if you see this one, uh, endpoint attachment test, right? So if I click on to this one, go to develop, find out the endpoint. So this is the attachment endpoint test base path. So I have keep everything loaded so that I can make this video a bit small. And yeah, so this is the endpoint. I am using the MIG LB, right? And then when I send this one, it's also returning me 200, right? So you have seen how I have migrated from here to there, right? And if you see here, this 7.2.2.3.2, what is this one, right? So I will tell you. So this is the service endpoint, right? The endpoint attachment which we have here, right? So if you see this host, so basically we are doing this from Apigee X. We are using 7.2.3 whatever the IP was. So from here, from this endpoint attachment, we are calling this service attachment. Here we have an LB because we can't directly create a connect with any of the virtual machines which we have, right? So this is for the demo, right? So the demo which I have set up, it requires an LB, right? Maybe you may not if you have any other items, but yeah, this is the solution which I have think of, which is a simple way to let you understand. Okay, so I have covered this one, this all parts, right? Now I have only left with this CloudNet. So for CloudNet, you maybe will try to give a idea from this one. So by default, if you set any internet address in your PGX, it will allow you unless you are blocking it. So it will allow you, and but you need a static IP, right? So to get the static IP, you have to do this curl. Okay, and you make sure that your this URL is correct. This is your project, and then you have to provide this one, and this is the name of your gateway. So for me it's just net1 I have just given, and this net1 is just show you like this in response when you run the that curl successfully, and then it will, and then you, because you are using this one, you we are creating a net gateway. So the net gateway is created, but for now it will keep rotating its IP. It is dynamic, but we need a static one, right? So we have to run the another command to make it static. Basically we have to reserve one IP. So as soon as you run this one it will return you this one with this net address, net1, which is the name of your net gateway, and then after that you have to activate it. So this is how you can activate it. So as soon as you activate it, we can see, right, this is 34 47 151 112. Now what I'm using, if you see, I am let me try to show you this. So to I have also created one Apigee proxy for this one, which calls the internet and inzip. So what it does, so let's understand here. By this, using this internet endpoint, we will get to know that which from which request the from which IP the internet get the request basically. So I am using this. If you see, if it's a dynamic one, I hope many of you already know uh, this endpoint. So if I hit this one, it will give me this. Okay, and if you hit this one, you will get something else, right? So I'm getting this one from this endpoint, but the same if I hit from here, I will not get. But if the request uh, goes via PGX, it should give the it should give the net IP, right? So let's see. Okay, so you have seen I have put this as a target. Okay, and yeah, this is my proxy, and this is the endpoint of my proxy. My proxy endpoint is internet inzip. Okay, so I already have it. Okay, so when I hit, it will give me the net static endpoint, so IP every time. So if I hit, if you see 112 112 112, right? Why? Because we can see here, it's reserved one of the IP. Okay, so by this, now I have covered all these parts of the Apigee X. So you have, now if you have any question, you can put it in the comment, and if you uh, want a demo where I am setting up all these things, it may take time, but I can create. So yeah, thanks for watching.